they don't really like share things. Everyone just does what they think. So
Very
it's kind of nice
secretive,
to see like everything you're doing. Like I was like, okay, this. I mean, obviously, I'm not like in finance, but I was like, oh, this. I mean, would be useful to know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but did you like start? Yeah, what made you do it? Because people, because you know, and I said that because I feel like I don't know if it's just a us thing or culture thing, but people when people get a bit funny, not people get funny, but I feel like talking about money is a
taboo.
like
Yeah.
yeah, do you know what I mean? And I feel like especially like I don't know how to put it. Like I feel like it's a taboo, but also a thing like when you put certain information out there, it's almost like okay, oh you and this it's like I don't know how to explain it. I feel like people just maybe okay this way you're earning so raw okay this makes sense or where you're going makes sense and it's like maybe it's like okay all right this person's got money. I don't know it's a push on the American so I don't know if you feel like
I get
that.
what you mean. I think so. Just to answer your first question, I think the reason I guess I started TikTok, it's funny because I started TikTok to talk about, just to share information that I feel like people like. I feel like from when I left uni and started into this industry, and I got into the industry and started realizing some things in my mind. I was like, if I don't know any other person that's in banking or any other person that works in finance, and some of these things that I'm finding out, like I'm just finding this out. Imagine how many people don't know like what's available, what the earning potential, just the things that are possible basically in this industry. So I feel like my TikTok was just more so about kind of like everything that I've been able to do career-wise or whatever is because somebody shared information with me and somebody in a way put me on or brought me in some ways. And so in my mind, I just saw my TikTok as a way to kind of do the same back. Because I feel like how I like even my journey into finance, I remember like it was just like a random. I was second year of uni. It was a random. I was just going. I was one of them people. I went to my lectures. I went home.
Yeah.
So I was going home, and my friend was like, "Oh, like Hilary, like why don't you come to this career fair?" And I was like, why am I coming to a career fair? She's like, "No, just come, just come." And I thanked that girl so much because really that is the beginning of what really opened my eyes to see like, raw, like this is possible. And that was when I was like 19.
Yeah.
And in the career fairs when I heard about investment banking and blah, blah, blah. But how it was pitched to me was like, it's very difficult, it's very competitive, and it's very inaccessible. So when you tell me I can't do it, okay, so I need to be in this area. So in my mind, it was just kind of, I need to make sure I get there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I need to make sure I get in that area.
Because I feel like I'll be honest, like, I think some of those things can be a put off. Like, you think, okay, well, this is too hard, or which I want to get into later, and I feel like that's why I wanted to invite you because what you share information about, like, you know. So I'll be quick. I don't take you off your point.
It's okay.
But you share information about like, okay, like transparency, okay, how to get in, what the earning potential could be. But I want us to get into more like, okay, like all that is obviously that it's good to know, but also just like, how can I put it? Obviously, I'm not saying people. Well, I don't know. People have to be a certain way, but just mentally as well. And the reason why I said that because often you hear a lot of, and I can only call them. I don't want to say misconceptions, but you hear a lot of things about like finance, about like 12-hour working shifts and people losing their minds. So obviously, I can't say that's the same for every single. Do you know what I mean? But you know, I just wanted to kind of get into more about those, like I would say, I don't call them misconceptions, but yeah, just those sort of like.
Well, I would even say they're like stereotypes.
Stereotypes. That's more of a word. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't want to throw you off your point.
What was I saying? No. So that was kind of how it started in terms of just wanting to share that information and just kind of doing something that I was told that is probably going to be very difficult for you to do. And that was second year of uni. I was 19, and then I don't know how, but I managed to get myself on an internship like in 4 months after that point. And I remember in the internship, so I was an intern, obviously, but usually how it works in finance or in banking, investment banking specifically, is that you do an internship in your second year of uni, you do that for 10 weeks. Then if you're good or if you impress or whatever, they can offer you a full-time position after you finish uni. So you could be going into your third year of uni and have already secured a job, basically. But, I mean, that internship wasn't great, and I didn't actually secure the full-time and stuff like that. But I think what it showed me was just, like I said, that internship showed me, okay, cool, this is what could be earned. This is what the nature of what they do. This is how many out. Like I saw the good and the bad, and from there was kind of up to me to make a decision whether I'm actually going to pursue this or not. And actually, what was funny is that internship. It wasn't specifically investment banking, so it was more like commercial banking. So in my mind, I was thinking, well, I still want to pursue investment banking, so I'm actually doing like proper investment banking, so I can actually know whether this is actually for me or not.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how it started, and I think I've been doing it now since. Well, full time now since for 2 years, and obviously if you include the internship, it's probably longer. But I think my TikTok is just a function of people letting me know information that has benefited me, and me just wanting to basically do the same.
Yeah. But what's the difference between like when you say commercial banking? Yeah, what's the difference in commercial banking and investment banking?
So I guess the main difference in investment banking is like, for example, we are sort of advising and basically helping clients or big corporates raise money. We're helping them do like, because for example, a company is not going to go to like um, retail banks, for example, to
Yeah.
raise 500 million euros, because obviously in retail banks and commercial banks, it's people's deposits, it's people's money that is there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if, for example, something happened where everybody wanted to withdraw their money for some reason, the bank doesn't have capacity to be able to give everybody's money and then still be borrowing companies 500 million, if that makes sense. So investment banks basically are like intermediaries where they're like the middlemen. So we are basically going to investors to help give corporates money. So that's one aspect of
Okay.
things that we do. We're advisors, so we're advising people on if, for example, so I don't know if you saw with Tesla wanted to take over Twitter, for example.
Yeah.
We are the like people who are advising Elon Musk as to like, cool, like this is what you should do. This is the way to do it. If you want to raise money, this is a way in which we could help you raise a portion of the 44 billion or whatever it was to take over the company. So I think the main difference is just the scale of all the money, the capital that we're basically raising is not as much as probably for a commercial bank. And I just think for investment banking, it's fee paying business. So it's almost like we are kind of, I say this on my TikTok, we are like salespeople. We're trying to like pitch ideas, and in exchange for the ideas, i.e. ideas in terms of raising money, advising, we get like a fee for it.
But do you ever have like, so when you say like so I guess it's the firm as a whole, but do you ever have like individual like clients that you have to maybe
So that
invest
wouldn't be investment banking. That would be like wealth management, private banking, where like there's high net worth individuals who want to do something with their wealth or raise money. So it's slightly different,
Oh, so it's not like so your day to day, is it like how's it structured within like your, let's just say like your team and your day to day? Does everyone have like different? There's maybe the same thing, but maybe doing, for example, let's say there's one big like case of okay, like you said, the Elon Musk and Twitter. So like in terms of your team and people in your team, so does everyone have like different roles to play within that particular like case, for example?
Yeah, so for a deal, for example, how it works is that, so for example, I didn't personally work on that because it's sort of based on like your jurisdiction. So I guess it's a US transaction, if you will. So like the US team would cover that, but it's the US version of what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Right, okay,
So it's split in regions. So different regions would kind of cover certain clients. So for example, a lot of companies that we might know that we see, they're actually German clients, for example. So we would cover Germans, and then or someone will cover Dutch clients or UK clients. So it's split based off of your region mostly, or depending on what area of the bank. Sometimes it's split on the industry as well.
Yeah.
So like I can only, for example, cover technology TMT clients, technology, media, telecom. Someone will just cover healthcare clients. So it's based like
That's
that.
quite interesting. So your like scope is just like tech clients.
So my scope, so I cover Northern Europe. So I cover clients that are German, Nordic companies, Netherlands, and sometimes UK.
Okay, so any like sort of like cases to do with some sort of big investment within like those areas. That's what you.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe I should probably talk about the split more. So obviously, there's two ways typically to raise money. So you can obviously raise via debt, and you can raise via equity. So like that's another split as well that you're split based off of as well. So I used to work in raising via debt, and now I work raising via equity. So my team would look at how can a company who's already listed, who's got shares, how can they use their shares as a way to kind of monetize or make money, basically,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yes, it seems like a lot, and like I
Yeah.
said, I find it interesting because again, I feel like one thing I feel I appreciate well, millennials. Well, the cutoff. When's that? No, millennials. No, you're not Gen Z. You're not Gen Z.
I'm not Gen Z,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
one thing I appreciate, yeah, is like, and this is the thing back to what you said earlier about like sharing information because at times, yeah, and again, maybe this is just me. I'm not saying this is a thing that us millennials do, but I feel like it's always this thing of like, oh, I'm gonna just do my thing.
Mm,
Like, and don't get me wrong, no one owes us anything. Do you know what I'm trying to
true,
say? But
true.
it does help though when like people are like, okay, cool, this is how I done this, this is how I done that. And the reason I said that because even though I kind of, well, not similar, I kind of went through something similar where like, in my, so I don't want to say too much, but in my previous job, obviously I was like, so I've now like in kind of project management. So like, and first I was like, oh, how do I kind of branch into this? Obviously, like, you always usually like, where you do courses and stuff, but because I had quite a few friends
Yeah,
who were in it, so I kind of reached out to them
yeah.
and they helped me massively to the point where they're telling me, okay, look, this is what I've done. This is the and the potential here and there. So it's like, okay, cool. You can open your eyes. You can feel like, okay, cool. This is what. Obviously, I'm not saying like everyone's journey is different. Don't get me
Different,
wrong,
yeah.
but it makes you realize, actually, you know what? Okay, this is possible. I'm in now, and and I know I can get to where you're getting. And sometimes that's all it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, maybe like people don't want to share things. Again, that's cool. Do you know what I mean? It's not you don't
Not by
have
force,
to,
yeah. It's not
but
by
it
force.
helps. Okay, right. And for example, like even with your TikTok, people can see that and think, okay, cool. This is how to, okay, this is how I can get into it. This is what like, I can do. And I think a lot of us, and I like what you do because you don't always just show like your TikTok can just be like, okay, cool, just all the trips. Do you know what I mean? What I'm driving, do you know what I'm saying? Or what I'm like, and I see that a lot on TikTok. Again,
Yeah,
it's not a
of
bad thing.
course,
I'm
of
trying to
course.
say, you see
Lifestyle,
like,
that's how
you
it's,
know what I mean?
yeah,
You
dubbed.
see a couple of hashtag, ahead went follow me to this. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. It's kind of like what you see, and it's good because obviously, like it's like how can I put it? It's showing people are like it's a lifestyle, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
showing lifestyle, which is not good. I mean, it's a bit of both, but you're like, yeah, you're showing lifestyle, but you're showing yeah, you're showing, but you're not, you're giving like a honest, I would say like um honest glimpse because people can show lifestyle, but
How?
they're
Yeah.
not showing how. Okay, what is it that you done? Again, you don't
You
have
don't
to
have
in
to,
it,
I know.
but obviously you can send people because we can all be influenced by what we see in it. So people can just see lifestyle and they're like, okay, you know what? I want to do what you do. Okay, cool. Okay, how do I get into that?
Yeah.
And it can just be again, it's not a bad thing to be focused solely on money, but some people might just want to do it because they've seen couple
money, yeah.
stats you put up on certain figures. Oh, right, okay, cool. This and that. I'm trying to get there too, but it's like, of course, there's everything. There's steps, and if anything, there's always. It's like looking at, okay, what you're getting yourself into, innit?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And I feel like what I said earlier with banking, we always hear of certain stereotypes and like, I remember there was one, I'm not sure how true it was, but I think there was, what company was it? Was it, I think it was Goldman,
Yeah.
where
Yes.
the interns were doing like crazy hours. Like
Yeah.
they would literally leave the office, go home,
Yeah.
and back into. I don't know how true that is, innit? I don't know, innit? But
It's true.
like
It's
that
probably
just
true.
sounds a bit mad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how what's your working like
Yeah,
work
so
situation like?
what you're talking about was actually a big thing, and it actually did in a way change banking. Actually, and that was, I think it was February, and basically what happened was there was this kind of like feedback poll thing that they did at GS, and basically what it was is analysts.
So what was GS?
Oh, Goldman Sachs. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, not the acronym. Sorry.
That's cool. It's cool.
Goldman Sachs, and basically they were basically giving their feedback on their time at the bank, and obviously it was people basically saying their hours are bad, like this is worse than being in foster care, blah blah blah. Like, obviously telling
Yeah.
their experience, which I wouldn't say anything that they said was super. Well, at GS, it's not super far from the truth. And basically what happened after that is a lot of companies saw that and started obviously getting scared about, okay, if Goldman Sachs has done this, our analysts going to do. Analysts are like juniors, so basically it was the junior members of staff or people who've just come out of uni who have just started the industry. So they're basically like, it was, I don't know if it was a in-house thing and it got leaked. Because I don't think it was meant to be on social
but
media.
it's probably good that it did though in a way because
Yeah.
like that's, I mean, again, yeah, like that's like, I mean, so just going back, so you done an internship. What was your role in doing an internship?
So I've done two. So one was I was what was it? I think it was corporate products and markets. But like as I said, my first internship was in a commercial bank, so I didn't have to do those crazy hours in that. But when I did my second internship, which was at an American investment bank, you know, I would say that the hours weren't crazy as in I was staying till 3 a.m. every day or something like that. But the hours are like, okay, you're getting at 8 a.m.
You leave.
On average, you're leaving around 9 or leaving around.
That's mad still.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I'm saying that's mad because like, I feel like, but this is the thing though. I feel like I'm saying it's mad because I feel like it's the hours I'm willing to do, like no matter how much. I mean, I say that now. Obviously, I say that now, but I feel like so. You know, that was an internship, so I guess you didn't have a choice, but you're trying to build your experience.
Yeah, exactly.
But like after that second internship, but how was you feeling like in terms of like mentally? What do you think? Like, what was some of your thought process to make you feel like that made you want to continue into the industry?
Good question. I would say so. Basically, after that internship, that internship was for 10 months, and remember I was saying that usually you do an internship and then they kind of see if they want to give you the full time. So that was the second internship that I did, and then the second time I didn't get the full time.
Yeah.
So it was very easy for me to say like, is this industry even for me? Because I've got my foot in the door, but it seems as if it's not working because I'm not being able to convert to like a full-time position. So I feel like for me it was a case mentally in that time. I wouldn't say that I was the best just because with internships the pressure comes in the fact that you're continuously having to like prove yourself and feel like you need to make sure you're this A1 student or A1 intern or A1 employee, and it's kind of like it gets exhausting, right? It gets exhausting, and I kind of also feel like coupled with the fact that I'm black, coupled with the fact that I'm a girl, so it's kind of like for me.
See, that's
for me. It was like it's almost like, and I was the only black girl there, so it was in my mind. It was like I have the on my shoulders is I'm representing every other black girl that's coming after me or every other black person that's coming after me. So it's like me staying till 9 p.m. or staying till 10 p.m. It's in my mind I have to do it. And it's not even like not that I had a choice anyway, but I'm more motivated to do it because I know that I'm setting precedent for who's coming after me. So it's kind of like I need to just make sure I show up. And it does get exhausting because it's like you do all of this, and for me it was like I did all of this, and in my mind it like what came out of it. I mean, fair enough having that name on my CV to help me for something else, but what I meant was what came out of it in the sense of I felt like I still didn't like clearly perform well enough because I didn't get the full time. So I don't know. That was a tough time, to be honest. It was. I don't know. You said what motivated you to like continue pursuing the industry, and I kind of feel like for me it was just I don't know if it's because I felt like I always had to prove myself to others, but I felt like me being in a place where I'm in a permanent position, it's almost like I felt like I needed to prove to myself that I can do it, despite people saying or despite being told twice, like you haven't got the full time, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. In my mind, it was just more of a case of I need to prove to myself that I can do it. So
but those interviews don't they give you like feedback? So if they've not taken you on, don't they give you feedback as to why they're not taking you on, and
they
kind
do.
of try to help you, in the next role you're trying to pursue and things like that.
Yeah, they do. Vaguely, like they might say, oh, maybe, like I remember back then it was like, oh, we just felt like, and the first they said there was no head count, so basically they didn't have space. Yeah. And then they said, we just thought there was a bit of like a knowledge gap, and for me, it's just throwaway.
It's an internship though, right?
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Learning. You're supposed to.
I don't know how true the internship, the feedback.
But like, and the reason why I want us to kind of go for a step by step, because I feel like you saying that and where you are now, obviously, like for those who probably watch TikTok or even listen to this can kind of say, okay, cool, you know what, like, okay, setbacks do happen, I get that. But also as well, it's like, and I know like this is kind of like we always kind of hear this kind of phrase or similar words that, it's not how many times you get setback, it's how many times you get back up.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes there can be a lot of knockbacks where you feel demotivated, but how did you like pull yourself through, like, and not feel demotivated and feel have enough sort of mental strength to say, listen, I still want to do this. I'm still gonna, on to the next sort of thing.
I would say that probably a big part I've probably missed out is, I would say, faith helped a
Yeah.
lot, to be honest, because I felt like, not I felt like, I know, to be honest, that me being in that second internship, the way I even got that internship was divinely orchestrated, if I must just
Yeah, I like that.
say it frankly. It was. And I just sort of saw it as, I don't, but it's either one of two things. It's either God wants me to see this and see that this is not for me, or it's a case of God wants me to see, show, or wants me to. How much do I want this, and how much do I believe that is for me? If that makes sense, because if I believe and say, okay, I believe I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be in this industry. I don't know why I'm meant to be in this industry. I don't know why I have this drive for this industry, and I feel like God has placed it in my heart to do so. I kind of feel like me kind of giving up on it. It's kind of like, okay, this might sound extreme. Not giving up on God's plan for me, but like I want to pursue it till I know that I can't do it no more, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
kind of feel like when I didn't get that second internship, get the conversion, the full time from that second internship, the first thing I did, obviously after crying, of course, is I started questioning my faith, to be honest. I started questioning my faith. I started to question. So if I believe that you brought me to this place and you didn't give me this full time, then what? What is it? Like, what am I supposed, if this is not what I'm meant to do with my life at this particular point, what am I supposed to do? And in my mind, if I feel like I've been praying, you've been speaking to me, and I felt like I've been led here and it's not worked, then what then? Like, what is the alternative? And I feel like for me, I did a lot of, in that time, so for example, what happened was after the internship, which was August 2019, I didn't get it. The first thing I did was, I think I started, obviously I was questioning God after a while, but then I started fasting. And I just started, I remember at the time I was doing, basically I was trying to keep myself occupied, trying to distract myself, but trying to distract myself with like just getting more plugged in church, if that makes sense. So there was a time I was doing like, what's it called? Like a Bible school, for example, just doing anything to not keep myself down. And in my mind, it was like, if I don't know what I'm going to do at the moment, and I had finished uni, I didn't have a job, anything like that. And thank God, to be honest, a few months later, COVID started anyway, but I was just trying to occupy myself. And I remember in doing that, what happened there was I already knew how to apply to jobs and stuff. So it's not like I didn't have the issue where like, I don't know how to do a good CV, or I don't know how to do a cover letter or an application that's not going to get me into banking, because I've done it 3 times before and I've been successful twice. So, or many times before, not 3 times. So that wasn't necessarily my issue. It was just like, I don't want to feel like I have to do another internship where I have to prove myself again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense, and it's good that obviously like I don't know. I'll say we've all been, but I've been there where like, I'm just like, oh, what is this? Like, not so much in terms of like job, just in terms of okay, like life. Like even
yeah.
though when I lost my mum, I was like, right, this is a bit mad. I'm thinking like what are you trying to, and even like when I look back now, like I always say like I said question God kind of thing, because my dad died a year before. I'm like, okay, a year after, like. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm anyone special, but I'm like, raw, what's going on? This isn't part of the planning it. But when I look back now, I realize myself, you know what? A lot of it was faith, because I feel like with these things, a lot of things is just down to our mental health. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, and I'm not trying to say I'm not the most strongest person, but getting through that period, will not get what I still kind of go through it, but I would say like what helped me was just of course, a lot of support, but faith as well, because like a part of me was okay. Like again, I don't say this to say like I'm some strong guy, but a part of me was okay. If this is probably for me the worst thing that can happen at this stage, innit? So it's like after that, anything else, okay, cool. Let me just. It kind of gives me like some sort of motivation. Anything, I wish I can do anything more, but it's okay. The worst has happened now. So my point is that if I do go for something, whether that's a job or whether that's something, whatever it may be, the worst that can happen is a no. That's so what I'm trying to say. So having that mindset it makes me more, not to say that I can do anything, but there's a willingness to try, because okay, cool, the worst has happened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense,
it
but
makes
that's
sense.
just how I kind of like. It's like have a new approach now. The worst has happened, so this and that is nothing compared to the worst that happened. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely good that like yourself, you had that faith, but even just like where you are, and so after the second internship, is that where you landed your first proper role in investment banking?
Yeah, so after the second internship, I said, obviously I didn't get the return offer, so I was just basically coming back to applying again. But I guess the good thing I would say is I didn't get the full-time offer from that internship in August. And investment banking, they run in cycles. So basically the cycles for the new wave of applications starts in September. So at
Okay.
least I had
A month.
I had
okay,
time
yeah.
to basically get like myself prepared to
Yeah.
start the new cycle, as they call it. So I think, and to be honest, I left that job in August and I secured my full time by November.
Okay.
So, which was good. But I think the struggle then came because I secured it in November, but not to start until the following July.
What?
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
So what they expect you to do in the meantime?
What do you mean?
No, as in, okay. So they gave you the offer, right?
They gave me the offer. Yeah.
What do they do to ensure? Okay, listen, within that time, okay, listen, we've got you, like, because that's
Yes,
a long time.
it
You can
is.
apply for other jobs and
It
like,
is. But when you say apply for other jobs, I mean, every grad program is like that. So, like, if I go to a competitor and apply for another one, I mean, some of them will have early starts where you can start in February. But the typical thing is you do wait a long time to kind of join. Because when you start a grad program, you join as a class, as a cohort. So everybody starts
okay, right.
at the same time in a way. And so there's either February starts or July starts. And apparently I had missed the February start, so I had to start in July.
Oh, so it was a grad. It was a
Yes,
grad. Okay,
yeah.
so.
But it was a full-time grad position.
All right. Okay. So did that have like was it like a year? How long was the grad program?
So it was for a year, and then what happens is after the grad program, you just become permanent.
Okay. So you went through the grad program.
Yeah.
And then after that, then so you now had your first.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like the internship where like they tell you, listen, like, look, there's no headcount on it. So that grad program was definitely like.
So when you get exactly, when you get on the grad program, I mean, it's called a grad program, but you're just, as soon as you've secured that, it's a full-time position straight away. So you become a member of staff as soon as you become a permanent member of staff as soon as you've got the offer.
Oh, okay.
But just like on paper, you are part of a grad program.
So it's okay, but even within that time from November to July, so of course you can't apply for another competitor.
Yeah.
But like, what was you doing with your time? Because that's a long time just to be waiting for a job.
No. But COVID came. COVID came, which made it easier. I think they give you like a welcome bonus or welcome package, so that helped, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they better. I mean, if you're gonna make me wait for how long for a job,
give you
like,
something.
You gotta give me something to hold me over.
Yeah. So I mean, that element of things wasn't too bad, and I think I started doing just random things, and because I was already doing like. Remember I told you, like, I was getting myself plugged into church, just doing random things, going to Bible school, doing things. I remember I went to, like, a sewing school. I started learning how to sew, just doing things to occupy myself. It was a very random time and actually that's when I started kind of on social media. So before I was on TikTok, I was, like, on Instagram, but just posting fashion content. That's when I started that because I had so much spare time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I had exams. So basically to be on a grad position or for the role I do, you need to do like professional exams, professional qualifications. So I think from maybe let's say March, April, I needed to start revising anyway. So
okay. So you more or less you're occupied.
Yeah,
you had stuff to do.
Yeah.
That. So
I mean, I'm not gonna say every day I was doing that.
Yeah.
I was just in bed.
Yeah. So that's good, and I think So from like, say, I know you said pretty much the internship was like, okay, the grad scheme was like, you're more or less in the job, but like, but you're from, I would say, the first day and the day when you actually finished the internship and you was in the job, what was it like for you mentally? Like, I mean, what was some of the feelings that you were thinking, now that you were finally in, okay, cool, I'm kind of in now. Like, what was was there any like, I don't want to say nervousness, but yeah, just what was like your mental health like at the time?
I think what was good is that because I started basically during COVID, I was at home, so I started the role from home.
Yeah.
Which in one sense was good, but I do feel like, and even till now, I do feel like I have a lot of, I don't want to call it PTSD, but I do have like, I notice it in myself that because I've always felt like in every role I've had in finance, I need to like prove myself. I find myself overthinking things and panicking from other people, what other people look as a common thing, as it's not that deep. For me, it's kind of like the way my mind processes certain things. Oh my days. For example, if I don't understand something at work, for example, as my friends know, if I don't understand something at work, the panic, like I've had so much panic. The panic I have, it's like, oh my days. If I don't understand this, they're gonna find out that I don't know what I'm doing. If they find out I don't know what I'm doing, then they're gonna think, oh, this girl's not capable. Then they're gonna let me go. But it's like, why has my mind gone to all the way to the most extreme case that they're gonna let me go because I don't understand something? It might sound silly, but for any little thing, that happens to me a lot. And I feel like this year more than ever, I've been more like conscious of the fact that I have a lot of like trauma, a lot of trigger responses based off of past experiences.
Yeah.
And I guess when I first started this new role and thinking, right, so I don't need to prove what I say. I don't need to prove myself, but what I mean is like no one's gonna tell me. There's not gonna be a meaty bed. They're gonna be like, oh, you didn't get it. But so in that sense, there was relief, but at the same time, it almost felt like, okay, but so that day never comes, I need to make sure that I'm performing at some an ultra crazy standard, if that makes sense. So it's like, it's almost like there's pressure that I inflict on myself, which I feel like I've been doing.
That's what I was going to ask, because I was like, where does that come from? And I think as well, where does that come from? And also, do you feel like your counterparts are doing that? And I'm saying counterparts for a reason. I don't, but you know what I mean when I say counterparts.
Yeah, I do. Well, I feel like, where does it come from? I feel like it comes if I think about it logically, the only logical reason why I get this kind of fear or this, because that's what it is. It's a fear. It's anxiety. It's undue pressure that doesn't need to be. I feel like kind of what I said in the previous internship. It's almost like feeling like I have to prove myself. Feeling like, and I think it's a bit of imposter syndrome as well.
Yes.
Just feeling like I felt like for so long I haven't belonged, or they haven't wanted me to belong. So now I'm here. It's kind of like I need to make sure that I integrate myself as much as possible and make sure I do the most and put ultra pressure on myself. And I think unfortunately, it's just a byproduct of what I've experienced getting into the industry and how my journey has been. So it's kind of meant that going forward, I'm very hard on myself, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think we all kind of do it to a degree, like where, because I'm an overthinker as well. Sometimes it's like I have to tell myself, just chill, relax. And even I think we all think sometimes you don't know how to rationalize it because you're thinking like, okay, every day, worst case scenario. But okay, it might not happen.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, you don't understand that. But sometimes well, that it's other people, and that's why I say counterparts, because I feel like other people were like, okay, they're just somehow they're not stressed and they're probably not. I'm not saying they're not working hard, but they're just chilled, and it's like they're not worried about Whereas like with us, I always feel like it's because I don't know if it's like because before when I was younger, I was this thing of like black people got work 10 times harder.
Yeah.
And I feel somehow that's always kind of ingrained. So, but it's almost like back then it's like, it's a thing, okay, cool. When I used to think of it when I was younger, okay, yes, this is what I have to do. As I get older now, actually.
No, honestly,
I know for a fact, this person will work harder than me. No, it's not about comparing, but my point is that like, we say that, but our counterparts, are they thinking the same?
Yeah.
But then again, it's a lot of common factors. And again, I don't want to like, make this like a sympathy thing, but a lot of people, benefit from a lot of things, privilege, like different things in it. So it's and it's just. But I feel like I'm speaking to myself here, but I feel like maybe you as well. Like we need to maybe not stop, but just be a bit okay. You know what? We're here. Like, and at the end of the day, like yes, it's okay to have a little bit of imposter syndrome or a little bit of like, oh, what am I doing? But at the end of the day, like, everyone may not agree, but at the end of the day, like God put us here. This is not coincidence. You're there for a reason. But of course, obviously, sometimes in day to day, that might not help because you have stresses of like the job in it. But do you feel like that if you wasn't in the finance industry, do you feel like if it was another industry, you'd be different?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe because I think the finance world, banking, investment banking, typically there's a mold, right? There's a certain person that works in banking, typically white, typically male. And I think that because of that, I'm none of the two. And it's like, I almost feel like because of that, I have to, and it's true what you say about counterparts, because because that's the mold and that's the typical banker, really, they have that privilege to rely on, and they have that. They don't have that same pressure because they are what the industry has been for a long time. So I feel like me coming in and being none of that, I think that
It's like you feel like you're breaking a stereotype.
I do feel like I'm breaking a stereotype, but I also like, it's kind of like what I said before. I feel like it's almost like I feel like it's a responsibility in a way. Like I might be the first Black female that they've ever encountered in my head, it's kind of like, because of that, I need to make sure, whilst I try to tell myself, relax or calm down, nobody's deep in it the way you're deep in it, no one is rationalizing it, or no one's overthinking the way I'm overthinking it. But at the same time, I always just think that if I'm the first Black girl that they've ever come across, or they've ever encountered, they've ever worked with, I just don't want to ruin someone, like the next person coming after me's perception, if that makes sense. So because of that, I almost feel like I always have to, I don't want to say perform, but
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, because you're thinking about, okay, like, if you're a certain way, how is that going to help the next junior trying to come
up
into that same industry, or even that same company, and they might be, oh, right. Even, in all honesty, yeah.
But this could just all be in my head. I don't know. This is...
The thing is, yeah, I feel like you shouldn't have to worry about that. But unfortunately,
I know.
because how, I mean, we all do it. It's like we, whether it's good or bad or not, we kind of go off of stereotypes. Even though, like, I might see someone running across the street holding a knife, but I'm not going to say, everyone that knows how that is just going to do that.
True,
I'm trying to say.
true.
But unfortunately, that's what happens. So in a way, I kind of get why you're doing that, but at the same time, it's also trying to find that balance of, listen, I know, like, I have a huge responsibility on my shoulders, but at the same time, like, I'm only me. You know what I mean? There's only so much I can do, like, and what I mentioned earlier about the stereotypes. Now, obviously, I don't know how. Obviously, you're going to mention a company or things like that. I don't know what if you've experienced, like, when I say stereotypes, some people might not think, well, what are stereotypes in banking?
Yeah.
And this is just me. This is not me saying this is, but usually from what I kind of hear is typically, it's, like I said, long hours. Like, people are, I don't know, like coke is like it's like coke. It's like that's a way of getting by. Again, it's just like it's a lot of like long hours, as I mentioned. You're not seeing your people around you. It's like you have to be devoted. Like, that's just, again, I could be wrong. But that's just, I guess, it's like the stereotype that I see. So I don't know. I don't know actually if to say that's true, but do you feel that, what's your I guess view on the stereotypes when it comes to the finance? No, not just in when I say the investment banking industry, like, are some of those stereotypes?
Yeah.
Have you seen them, or do you feel like they're just they're myths?
Yeah. I would say that the stereotypes, obviously, there's no smoke without fire, so it's not like the stereotypes are completely false, because one time in banking, a lot of those stereotypes, like at a point in time, a lot of those stereotypes were true. Okay, everything that you said at a time is true, but I think people are stuck, or maybe using a point in time to kind of base it on now and going forward. And I kind of feel like it's easy for people to, like, obviously think about how it's perceived prior and basically be like apply it now. And I kind of feel like now it's not like that. I think, yes, long hours is always going to be a function of investment banking, unfortunately, just because of the nature of the work and how, like, basically a client can come and say they want to raise £500 million tomorrow, and it's Sunday now, or let me not say tomorrow, maybe say Tuesday. Everybody needs to drop what they're doing and basically make sure, because that's money that the bank is depriving themselves of if we don't do it, if that makes sense. So we are on call in that sense. But I wouldn't say, like, every single day is long hours. Every single day you're working till 9 a.m. Every single day you're working. Like, I kind of sometimes feel like there is balance. So, for example, now it's August. Most clients are on holiday. So if clients are on holiday, who are we raising money for? What are we doing? So there are downtimes as well, which people never talk about. The fact that COVID happened, which obviously was a negative thing, but I guess a good byproduct of COVID was that we can work from home. Me working from home 3 years ago was a myth. There was no infrastructure to work from home in investment banking, but now that's a positive thing, which has helped you be more flexible. I'm able to work 2 days from home, which I would have never had the opportunity to if not for COVID. And even though I may work, and as I said, I started this role from home as well. So I started working from home a year and a half into the role before I actually went into the office. So there is flexibility in that sense, but I'm not going to sit here and say that the hours are not long, because they are. If you compare it to your normal sort of 9 to 5 and stuff like that, they are long. People coke or whatever. Personally, I have never seen that, and I don't know what people do in their spare time. But I think that's one of the stereotypes from old that people try to apply now. If that makes sense, I don't think that people are not functioning because they're on coke. I didn't think so. And I actually feel like probably the biggest misconception is that, back they're just normal people, and I kind of feel like me being there has made me realize that. Wow, before I had come into bank, and I always just felt like they're gonna be bougie, they're gonna think like they're better than people. I mean, there are people who do feel like they're better, or they're know-it-alls and stuff, but like some people are just people. They're just people.
Yeah.
Like, and to be honest, I actually enjoy work. I don't feel like there's anybody who's like, oh, there's but I don't know if it's because I'm used to the culture that I might think that these things are normal, but it's like I don't see anything that is so terrible, except obviously when people say about the hours. But I don't know. I don't think it's.
Yeah, that's when, like I said before, stereotypes will always be stereotypes, but it doesn't always mean that like it's true, or it's the case for every single in your position, every single investment bank company you work for. There might be some who are doing that, but a lot of the time, and just going back to what I mentioned about the junior analyst like working 12 hours a day. And again, I read somewhere. This was I don't want to get it wrong, but so I think I don't know if this is a different case, same situation or a different case, but there was like I think he was a junior worker, and I feel like so I think that's the thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but long story short, I think he like killed himself.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not sure what it's the same company, but I remember it was just like that. He was doing like long hours, and again, that's not to say like it's his company's fault. But my point in bringing that up is kind of like, which I want to kind of segue into, talk about like the other side of it. Like you said, we mentioned, okay, cool, in terms of, yes, a lot of people do know it's lucrative, long hours, and given a nature of the role, you can understand why, based on what you said, why it's long hours, and because it's you're dealing with a lot, but also like the mental health side of things. So like how like obviously you can't speak for other people, but how do you look after yourself mentally? And that's not to say something's happened whatsoever, but just to ensure like, okay, cool, I don't ever get, let's just say for example, burnt out, or I don't ever get to a place where mentally my head is just
gone,
finishing it. So what do you like? What sort of things do you do to help you?
I think, to be honest, and you are right in that what you said in terms of someone committing suicide. And I think what I guess people need to understand with banking, I feel like people see as this, like you said, lucrative industry where you're going to get into this industry, and in their minds, there's a lot of people that come in are people. I mean, there are privileged people, but there are people who are coming from sort of lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So in their mind, this is my gateway to kind of change my life or change the life of my family or whatever. So because of that, there's like a pressure that I need to make sure I get this right.
That's a good point, yeah.
So it's kind of like, and I'm not to say that the guy that passed, because the bank that I used to work for that's the bank, and I wouldn't say that he was doing anything wrong in that he was trying to basically work as hard as possible to basically to get the full time and stuff. But I think with that particular case, I think there was I think he had other health issues as well that he wasn't declared as well. Yeah. So the bank wasn't aware of stuff like that. So I would caveat that as well. But just back to your point in terms of mentally, how do you make sure that you're not burnt out? I feel like it's just it's being self-aware and knowing, like, if I know, for example, that it's been, because another thing that people do in banking as well, sorry to jump, but it's like, it's almost like because everyone wants to prove themselves, there's this culture of like being scared to take holiday, or like being scared to take time off, because it's kind of like, especially when you first start. I mean, okay, I've been in my particular role for 2 years, so not saying I'm a little bit more comfortable, but I'm a little bit more at ease to do certain things that I probably wouldn't have done when I first joined. So, for example, asking for holiday, it was something I used to be scared to do just because like, I
Really?
don't want it to be perceived as if I'm not serious or as if I'm not on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And you know, it's so interesting, Sam, because I feel like sometimes there's that thing when you start a new job. You don't want to be. Listen, if I'm taking that leave, I'm taking that like
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, yeah. And this one, and again, I don't want to make this like a us versus
Yeah.
other, but
They're not thinking like that.
Do you think, yeah, like for 1 second, so you know, let me just random name, like I don't know, Sandra's gone on holiday. She said, okay, yeah, I started a week ago, but I've got my holiday booked. What am I gonna do? Because so they can say, oh, well done. You listen, like, and that's why sometimes I feel like the pressure. I get it because some industries, yeah, like in your industry, maybe you can't go as much, but it's like I feel like we need to kind of take that pressure off
No,
ourselves.
honestly,
Because at the end of the day, you're working. What are you doing it for? Just you're gonna just work and then that's it. Just pay all your bills and then
and then
not
continue.
even. Yeah, you know what I mean, why not? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But I get it, obviously. But do you feel like you're like that because you're young, or do you just feel like it's just that because of the industry?
I think there's loads of factors into it. Like I think banking, obviously, in the industry, I feel like it's because of the industry, and also it's just like I feel like what matters a lot is just like how you're perceived, and it's kind of like you don't want to be perceived as the person who doesn't seem serious. And in the beginning, in my mind, I saw it as if I'm taking holiday when I've just started. I don't seem like a serious
But
candidate.
is this pre-booked though? As in, because you know sometimes you can start a job and you have already booked because from the
Okay,
previous
no, it's
job.
not pre-booked.
Okay,
It's
just
not
saying that.
pre-booked.
Okay,
It's just
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember, for example, I remember my friend wanted to go to Dubai in December or whatever,
Yeah.
and I had started in September, but I was very scared to ask to go on that holiday.
I mean, Tim, that's not bad. Tim, I was like,
I was so scared up. And I remember I emailed my MD or my managing director, and he just ignored the email.
is it?
So I just
Wow.
assumed, that's a no. And maybe he just saw that negative. And I remember later on, like months passed, and I remember when we were in the office and I mentioned it to like one of my colleagues, and I was like, I remember when I asked to go on holiday to Dubai, like he ignored it. He was like, what? Why didn't you just call him? Or why didn't you just, did you send a follow-up email? I was like, no. He was like, why? He would have said yes.
Well, so you're thinking he ignored it because like
He said it was a no. He was like, he's a manager that he gets loads of emails. That he probably missed it. You didn't bring it back to his attention. And then in my head, that just goes to show. That's what I'm saying. A lot of the things I think in my head, it's not
exactly.
true.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, and that's a good point. Sometimes it's like I've had so many moments where like I've in my head I know the response.
Yeah.
Oh my days, this is gonna do that, and then afterwards like that's fine. And okay, like, okay, okay, cool. And I feel like we do that a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, you got to train a man to listen. Let me just give this person the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I don't let your mind, because the thing is, a lot of it is just in our mind.
Yeah, facts.
Obviously, there's some things where like it's different, but a lot of it is like it's just you. And because you're all thinking so much in your head, you've made it your mind that this person that is going to be that way.
And the conclusion is usually wrong. That
exactly.
It's usually not
Honestly,
correct.
all the 9% of the time,
it's not right.
It's always wrong. Like, and you're thinking like, okay, that's cool. Like, you're more at ease. But I think it's a thing of obviously everyone's path is different. But I think for me, I don't know why, but I think it just comes from a place of I'm always expecting the worst, which is not good. I know that's not, but it's like almost, and it's like I'm always sort of prepared. Okay, cool. I know they're gonna, but it's sometimes just like what if, have that what if, like, and with you, do you feel like you've had the what ifs because like I said, you're doing this in this industry and you're thinking a lot of the time, okay, I'm like, am I the first black person woman they've come across? So I've got to be this way, like so many different things, like, but do you ever have like, okay, what if actually, you know what, I'm not the first person they've encountered, and they're not like how I might think they are. They're probably cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you ever get those moments?
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes I see them as like, even recently, like I feel like there's been loads of instances where like I've had those like fear panics where I'm like, what, it's this, what if I don't do it? But then it's almost like something happens to show me, you see, this is why how you were moving, it wasn't necessary because it wasn't actually what you thought it would be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, I've had those instances where I'm thinking, well, actually, and those instances that happen and then show me that, okay, so it wasn't what I thought in my head. it does help me think, actually, maybe they don't think like that. Actually, what if they didn't see, like, for example, if I take, what another thing I used to do was, if I didn't respond to an email quick enough, like,
What's quick enough?
so, like, for example, because we're supposed to be on call and, if they want you to do something, make sure that you respond. Like, quick enough could be if they've sent an email at 10:58, you've responded by 11 a.m.
What?
Or like 11:05. But that's just, in my mind, it was just like, this is a no again, I'm not like this anymore. But in my mind, it was a case of, these are things I need to do to show that I'm on it, or things to show that I know what I'm doing, or but what does it show? It doesn't show anything, because realistically, I can respond to the email and say, yeah, I'll do it. And then what I'll then do is like try and rush the task to make sure I've done the thing quickly so that they can have it.
Yeah.
And then if I rush it, for example, and then I now make a mistake.
Yeah, do you know what? That's so I don't
That's
your point,
fine.
but do you know why I like what you said it? Because I remember the job I had before the job I have now.
Yeah.
I was always like that. Like, for me, when I went there, I was like, I can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And like, it was to a point where I'm oh my gosh, did I respond soon enough? Was that right? And then sometimes I'll do things just so I can say I've done it quickly.
Yes.
But then if I make a mistake, do you know what I mean? So, and I feel like that's not healthy mentally, because in any role, you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
Even your MD has started off somewhere, like, and that's the thing. Like, and I don't know where that comes from, but I remember one thing that I sort of took from the last role is like, okay, you know what, yeah, like, I said it sounds, yeah, I want to make mistakes, because that way I know, okay, where I went wrong, where I can learn. And also as well, like, before, it's like, I can't ask them any questions. They might seem I'm stupid.
The big one.
But listen, like, the job now, I ask questions all the time.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's not so much about, I'd rather ask questions 10 times and do it right than try to finish all and I've done it all wrong. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I think that's also helped me mentally as well. Like, what's it been like for you in terms of like calming yourself down off of that? Oh, I need to do everything like in 2 minutes. I need to do it like that.
Yeah.
That sort of like have that perfection, trying to always be perfect. What if you're I don't know if you're still like that now, or if you're not, what's allowed you to be a bit more calmer? I feel more at ease.
Yeah. I think it's been a range of things. I think it's been, number one, like, sometimes I like when I see, for example, like, my seniors get things wrong as well. And it's like, oh. And if they get things wrong in an email, or like we're in a meeting and they've said something wrong, or they've said something that the client doesn't understand, or something like that, and they've done something wrong, basically, the way that it's me just observing how they are able to do it. In my mind, I'm thinking, you are a lot more senior than me, and you're supposed to be a bit more seasoned than me, and you're able to just brush it off as if it's nothing. But in my mind, I'll be thinking, so if at your, and it even gives me a bit of comfort, because it makes me feel like, okay, so even at that senior level, yes, of course, you know more than me because you have more experience, but you still get things wrong. And I feel like for me, it gives me comfort, because it's like, you're not going to be penalized just because you get things wrong, because everyone gets things wrong. So I feel like it's just observing and seeing others senior than me.
Yeah.
Another thing is, one thing in banking that I don't know if I've made a TikTok on it, but you get ranked. And that's another thing that, yeah, you get ranked. So basically, remember I told you earlier that we all start as a cohort, as a class.
Yeah.
So every year, for them to determine the bonus they pay you and your performance, basically, they rank you against other colleagues that started around your same time. So that was adding pressure in one sense, but I think something that I think probably helped me was, because I felt like I was so bad, if you will, because I felt like, oh, if I'm making mistakes or stuff like that, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they're definitely going to say something negative about me. But I kind of feel like having those, the rankings and these performance reviews, and actually hearing the opposite, the things that I would think that I'm so bad at, and I think it's just a thing with me, is that nobody can be more critical about myself than me, if that makes sense. No one is more critical. Like, there's nothing that you can say that I haven't probably already said to myself. And I kind of feel like what has kind of helped me is like just hearing from the people that I work with and stuff, that I don't know if you know, but you are good. Like, affirming, people affirming me, I think helps as well. And just from my perspective, actually believing that, because people can say it, doesn't mean if that I actually have to take it on.
Yeah, no,
it's
true. I mean? No, I think I'm glad I think we're much similar in that, because it's like, I'm not saying that I need people to tell me, but sometimes I'm like, I'm so hard on myself. I'm like, actually, you know what, Joe, listen, you're not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
Or like, And this is the bad thing where like, oh, you know, okay, I've done one thing wrong on my days. Like they think I'm silly. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like damn. And it's like sometimes, and that's the thing for me. I find it is exhausting, but I don't know how to sometimes switch it off. And it's like my toxic trait is that I thrive off of being hard on myself because it's like,
Honestly, yep, same.
but I don't know, man. Sometimes like I want to just have a day off,
Yeah.
like just be chilled,
Chill.
like yeah. But I think that comes from because you mentioned something earlier, like you know, like um being like being like I'm not sure how it's true, but being okay, like potentially being the first black woman like your colleagues have come across, you know, being young and you know, being that sort of person who, you know, is doing things different and trying to let people who may potentially come after you, okay, this is what it's like. And I think like it's that pressure. It's that pressure. We'd say it's pressure you've kind of just added, like you've kind of just put on yourself.
100%, because nobody asked me to be like it's not like I wasn't aware, like before stepping into this industry, it's not like I wasn't aware that, because if for example I've gone into this industry, I don't know anybody else that I know before me or that around me really that was in the space that I was trying to get to. So in my mind, if I'm going into this space where I think obviously I'm probably not the first, but the first, at least from my community that is going, I don't have anybody to tell me do this, do that, or when I was there, I was doing this.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm trying to figure it out myself. So if I go into these spaces and I see that there's no one else who looks like me, or there's, like, for the most part, I've been in 3 financial companies and I've seen that there's not been many people who look like me. In my mind, it's like, okay, so it is a thing that there's few of us in these industries. So it is a pressure that I've put on myself, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like sometimes there's good pressure, but because it's still pressure, it can obviously turn negative. And I kind of feel like it's good to be aware of it and good to be conscious of it as you go about. But I kind of feel like where it becomes toxic is that then it's almost like it becomes a driver, like because you're thinking so much of, oh, I'm the only person, I need to be this, when that becomes the main driving force, I feel like that for me, that's when it becomes toxic, if that makes sense. If I know like, okay, cool, I'm in this space and just make sure that I'm doing my best and stuff, I think that's fine. It's good to have that awareness. But for me, I feel like where it gets difficult, where it gets problematic is where I start, that then becomes my main driver. Like, oh, like if for example I make a mistake, oh, I'm black, they're gonna say we're dumb.
Yeah,
or like,
yeah,
why
yeah,
is that
yeah.
the first thing that comes to my head?
No, it's true.
Shouldn't be the first
No,
thing.
it's true. And I think that, like I said before, obviously when I reached out, I was like, listen, I appreciate that what you're doing is good, man. And it's just good to see, obviously, the transparency. Like, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how to get into it. But, you know, like, when you do your TikTok, so
Yeah.
in terms of, like, you give advice on, okay, like, you know, you mentioned the ranking systems. I think I saw one where you're giving, like, an overview of different, like, the potential salaries and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said before earlier, like, a lot of these things, like people might be attracted. Oh, right, that's a healthy, you know what I mean,
Salary,
healthy
yeah.
wage to be on and stuff like that. But like, if you could, let's just say, like, well, if you could make like how can I put it, like a free, not a free step in, but like maybe like 3 things that people should, like, in your opinion, based on your experience, people should look out for in terms of mental health and preventing yourself from burnout. What would you say, like 3 things that could be something practical or anything that you feel like they can, just like that would help?
I think one is that, because I don't know if it's because we think that we need to come to work and put on this, like we need to perform. But I think one thing I would say is to come to work with your whole self.
Yeah.
Because I think where the issues start coming is if you feel like you're like code switching and having to perform at work, that exhausts you. You go home and you have to face who you really are. Like, I kind of feel like if, as much as possible, come in as yourself as much to work. And I didn't realize this, but my friend told me the other day, like, I don't think she was saying as a compliment, but she was like, I think the reason you've started to enjoy work is because you are yourself at work as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like because of that, because I've started to become more or show more of myself at work, I don't feel like I need to disguise myself, if that makes sense. So if, for example, I'm tired or like something has annoyed me and stuff, like, I'm not going to think, oh my days, I need to not come across as this angry person, so I'm not gonna show my feelings. No, if I'm annoyed, I'm annoyed today.
Yeah.
And I just, that has helped me a lot, because I don't need to be going to the toilet, for example, crying and coming back and be like, everything is fine. If I'm annoyed, everyone in the office knows I'm annoyed. If that makes sense. So it's just, for me, coming to work as yourself. I think in particularly for banking, because it's very easy to want to see the mold of how everybody is and just like morph yourself into what they are, if that makes sense. Just be yourself, I think. I think number two, and I've said this on my TikTok before, like banking can be very anxiety inducing. Like, just, you're dealing with other people who do have the exact same, everybody has this kind of like, I don't know if it's a problem with control or problem with like, I feel like everyone actually suffers from the same thing, if that makes sense. So I kind of feel like knowing what triggers that and not like inflicting that on others as well, because you might have it. And one thing that seniors do a lot in banking is like, if they're stressed about something, or if like there's a deadline that we need to do this for this client, it's so easy for them to like project that on us juniors. And then we're feeling the stress of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for example, if there's a deadline for something, let's say a manager hasn't basically told us in time. So because of your poor time management, everybody now needs to stay up till, 2 a.m. or whenever it is, because you haven't been able to communicate effectively and you haven't told us in time. Everybody's scrambling to do something. So, and obviously then the manager is anxious, he's fearful, then he's putting pressure on us, and then obviously we're under pressure. So it's like, just making sure like, and I'm conscious of that as well. Like, as I get more senior, like every form of anxiety or every form of fear or whatever I have, not kind of pushing it on someone else, because banking, a lot of people do that. Their anxieties fall on you, their control tendencies or whatever fall on you, and it's just like you then become, I won't say punching bag, but then you then become the recipient of it, and then have to kind of find a way to deal with it, it becomes tedious as well. And I would say, like, just lastly, you should take a break. I feel like people often say like banking is it's the long game, and I kind of feel like how sometimes it's communicated to you is like, you need to make sure you put in the work like in the beginning, so that when you're later on, you'll be relaxing. But really and truly, it doesn't work like that. At every level, whether you're senior, whether you're junior, there's a different form of stress that comes, and it's kind of like, it doesn't work in saying make sure you grasp so much in the beginning and like don't take breaks, don't do this, make sure you're understanding this, and then your further years will become easier. It doesn't work that way. I think there's balance that needs to be had, and I that's why, as much as COVID was bad, like I really appreciate the fact that I'm able to work from home, for example, and I'm not as I'm not as hesitant now to take holidays or and it might sound silly, like why were you scared to take holiday? But like, I think if you're in that environment, and you just see the way people are, everybody's super like, well, not everybody, but you have people who are super motivated, like make it seem like, I don't know, they're like robots, like they can function, but they're also taking time off as well. But they just present themselves in a way that you think is incompatible to you, and then you think, I don't know that. But in short, taking breaks is important, and I feel like I wish I had. I think now I do take breaks, but I wish I could have been more of that mindset, as opposed to having the mindset of I need to prove myself so much and make sure that people perceive me as this person. So me not taking breaks and showing that I'm like, for example, I would say, let me not take time off in Christmas because, everyone goes off anyway. Let me be on the desk, but I'm not being funny.
Listen,
everyone is off in Christmas anyway.
People will be at their different locations. Oh yeah, like enjoying the Christmas.
I'm there like on call.
Nah, so yeah,
it's just having balance as well. And to be honest, one good thing that has, mental health has become such a big thing, especially in my bank. And it's encouraged to take breaks. It's encouraged. There's like things called like mandatory block leaves. I guess that's for more senior people, but where everyone's encouraged to take time off in, like right now, as I said, it's August, it's summertime. Like there's no clients. So what you can take 2 weeks off without, because another thing is like they might think that some people might not want to take holidays because, or me for example, is like, like if I go, like, who's going to be able to do this? Look, the bank is going to run with or without you. And I don't know, sometimes, I don't know if it's a self-absorbed thing where you think that things are not going to move without you. There's mechanisms in place for them to move without you.
Yeah, so exactly.
And taking breaks, yeah.
I think that's important because you mentioned something earlier about this whole thing, the long game, just do these mad hours now because it's not in a long. Like, do you sometimes, I don't know, like, because even with some of the stories I've read about the junior analysts doing the long hours, But do you feel like that's could be one of the main reasons why like a lot of people go into the industry because they want to be okay, cool. I know the long game. Like, do you feel like that's a reason why? But also, do you feel like that's kind of like bad advice if some people have been told that?
Um,
And the reason why I ask, sorry, just for a bit of context, because I feel like I can see why, because young, not every young person, but young people can be arguably impressionable. So
Yeah,
if you
of
tell them,
course.
no, if you do this, you get to there. So it's like you incentivize there, but is it at what cost? And sometimes mental, it can be at the cost of your mental health because like you're saying, okay, I need to do long hours, but is it healthy for you right now mentally
Yeah.
to do that? Just for money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. But I don't know. It depends though, because yes, it's the long game in terms of where you can end up. For example, in terms of let's say you stay in this kind of because it is like a structure. Like you start off as and one thing I would say about banking is very like in 2 years you're going to be in this at this
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
You're going to be in that salary. So I feel like in one sense, yes, you have something to work towards, but like you could also flip it in the sense that some people see it as let me just do it for 2 years. Let me do it for a short amount of time because one good thing about banking is like you pick up so many skills and you have so much knowledge that you can do it for 2 years and stuff, and then you can go off and do, and that's another thing that happens a lot where people would do banking for 2 years, graft, and then they would leave and go and go and work for private equity firms or maybe start their own businesses because of all the skills that they've learned working as well. So I kind of feel like it depends like how you see it because some people do want to build themselves in that structure. And I remember there was an MD, sorry, I'm jumping, but I
No,
remember
it's all
there was
good,
an
man.
MD who my friend was telling me the MD was saying, when she was a junior, she hated it, like she just hated it. And then he asked her, like, so if you hated it, like, why did you do it? Like,
Yeah.
and obviously she was coming from the perspective as, I think she said she fell pregnant, like she needed to support her family. Like she's not gonna get this type of money, let's be frank. She's not gonna get this type of money at her age, and she wants to be able to support her family to the best possible way. And then he was asking her, so for you feeling so unfulfilled and you hated your job was all you cared about in her mind was, well, I hate it, I don't like it, fair enough, it is insufferable, but that's the lesser of the two evils, if that makes sense, because
Yeah,
in
yeah.
her mind, that's less than me having to give less to my kids.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't know, like I feel like it's a kind of a double-edged sword in a way because, and it just depends on the individual. Like one thing I would say is that I think banking actually will determine who actually is doing it for. Because I actually feel like if you're doing it for the money, you won't last long. Because money can't motivate you when you're working 15-hour days sometimes. I'm not thinking about, I'm going to get a 20K bonus so that I will stay. Like, no one's thinking like that.
Yeah, that's true. It's like you're thinking,
yeah, fair enough, the money's good, but like, and I don't know if for example, for me, like, I don't, it might seem like a lie, but I don't think the money is what motivates me to do it. I feel like proving myself is
why do you think it might be a lie though?
Sorry?
Why do you think it might be
because people will say, it's easy for me to say that when... What was your question? Why do I think it's a lie?
Yeah, no, because you said, although people might think it's a lie, but why do you think people think it's a lie that you're like, if people did assume you're doing it for money,
yeah.
Why do you think like people might not believe that you say you're not doing it for money?
Yeah. Because I feel like people find it hard to comprehend. What other reason would you... because it is a form of... I wouldn't say it's a form of devotion, but banking is a commitment.
Yeah.
It's not just a job. You commit a lot of your time and you commit a lot of your brain power really to this job. And it's kind of like, it's hard for people to comprehend. So what other reason would you be... why would you be actively choosing to spend so much time work-related if it's not for money? And I feel like that is hard for people to comprehend. And that's what people have told me many times, like, you must be doing it for the money. But honestly, it's not for money because I feel like because it takes so much time and because of all the negative things that have, as a byproduct of me working in this industry, it can't just be money that's driving me to do it. I feel like for me personally, I feel like there's a purpose for me being here and it's kind of like pushing forward in whatever that purpose is.
Yeah, but even if he was, okay, like, I'm trying to
but
say.
Equally,
like,
but it's not. But even if I was, who's going to beat me?
That's
But at
saying.
the same time, it's not. But if it was, that's people are doing it for the money.
And I think that's because I feel like that again. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But I think you mentioning giving people like an insight into what the industry is like.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also good because at least that way, if anyone does decide to go into it and you're doing it for money, okay, that's fine,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what to expect.
What you're getting yourself into.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
because it's not just you're not just thinking to yourself, okay, you know what, I'm doing this, I'm seeing 6 figures here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. How do I get? So it's like you're seeing 6 figures, but okay, this is what this might entail.
Yeah.
So you have a clear picture of what in terms, because listen, if you're there for money, you can do 15 hours. That's great.
But let
man.
me tell you, for that 6 figures, you are working for every hour of that 6 figures.
Like, and it's another question. This I guess it's kind of related as well, but this is another question where I feel like, do you feel like maybe I think I probably know what you're gonna say because of given the nature of the industry, but do you feel like the higher, like, and this is on a general level, the higher someone goes level wise, obviously the higher they go, the more money they make. Do you feel like that comes with it's a lot more money, but then you're sacrificing a lot more at the same time? And these ones, like, for example, like someone, let's just say someone, I don't know what role could be, someone who's earning let's just say $250,000, yeah, annually, yeah. In my life, that there's no way that person is stress free, or there's no way that person has that work life balance. Again, I could be wrong, but that's just my initial things. But do you feel like as people get higher, it means that they're gonna have to sacrifice a lot more? Or that it comes with more stress. Not even sacrifice, yeah, just that it means that there's more stress.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, I would say that, yeah, it becomes more of a sacrifice in the sense that you're responsible for more things than I would be. Like, for example, my MD is responsible for making sure the business makes, I don't know, let's call it 10 million per a year. So because of that, that might mean he needs to take out more time to go and fly, to go and see clients, which is obviously taken away from time that he would be with his family and stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say the stress increases, but because I think the stress, the nature or the source of the stress changes. So where, for example, if as a junior, your main stress is just making sure that the deliverables that you've been given, you get that out and stuff like that, and you make sure it's to the best information. At the end of the day, as a junior, you're still learning, so it's just making sure you're getting up to speed and stuff. I think obviously as you get more senior, that element of things you've kind of mastered, but then you start having to find a different way to. The stress comes now in the sense of you need to find ways for the business to make money.
Yeah.
And it's that responsibility comes, and obviously that brings a different type of stress. But I don't know if that's more stress, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think it's stress in a different form.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because I would also say, like, as you get more senior, you get more autonomy. You get more autonomy of your time in a sense. So where, for example, I'm expected to be in the office at certain times and stuff, I kind of feel like with MDs, they won't say it, but if they've blocked their calendar, we might just think they're in meetings, but they can block their calendars and go and do their hair and do stuff that they're able to manage their time. They get, as you get more senior, you get PAs as well. So they are in charge of their calendars, and they're able to basically, for example, they're not going to do a client meeting if, for example, my MD has something to do with his daughter, for example. So there will section of time for him to do whatever he wants to do with his daughter, but then find time for. So I kind of feel like it becomes a case where, yes, you have more responsibility, but it's kind of like, it's responsibility kind of structured based off of like your spare time outside of work as well. So you get you claim more of your time back, if that makes sense, I would say. So
the stress doesn't necessarily go away. It's just maybe like a different level.
Yeah, it doesn't go, but it's different.
But that's I guess again, like it's different because, like it's not, I won't like say like, okay, the higher you go, the more stress or the more, it just depends on the field you're in. Because personally, like, again, when I was younger, I was like, you gotta work hard, Yeah, nothing wrong, working hard is good, but it's like, okay, how can I work smart?
Yeah.
Like sometimes and that's why I said to you earlier, like having like transparency about different things. So okay, listen, because unfortunately, not every field, like, how can like, for example, like, out there, like nurses and doctors, nurses work mad hours, but like, are they getting paid?
They're not being compensated.
And some fields where like it's not the same level. Again, it's different, but you're not doing the same level of work, and the hours the work could be less stressful, but you can still get more. So it's about deciding where you want to be at, the industry you want to be at, and how you perceive, like, okay, like, you want to be someone who like climbed up the ladder, which is fine, or do you feel like I'm not really fussed about that? I more so just want to earn a particular amount of being a certain salary range, but not necessarily having to
Exactly.
go to be an MD or a manager. I mean, it's different. It just depends on what you
Exactly. Yeah.
want for yourself. But no, I appreciate this convo, man. I think we've even gone way over time,
Really?
but it's all good. Like I said, I think like you've really like shared a lot of insight into not only just like what it's like for you, but just mentally as well. And that's why I actually wanted. I'm glad you came because I think, like I said, a lot of the time people talk about, as you mentioned about a lot about, okay, like how to get into it, what you can earn, and that's great, and because that's obviously intentionally what people should know in it, but also as well like mental health side of things, like I said, we'll have our stereotypes about this like the finance industry and stuff, but like you said, it's not all like that. Not every single person is like sniffing. Do you know what I mean? So I appreciate that,
If at
man.
all, they might not be at
Exactly,
all.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Exactly. Not every enemy, so it's different. Of course, like I said, there is a dark side to almost everything.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, like the person that commits suicide and stuff like. And again, it's not to say like it's the well, I can't say this is the company's fault or whatever, but it just goes to show like there is a the dark side
Negative.
of that.
Yeah.
But like yeah. But with you, like I said, I'm hoping you continue to like manage well yourself, not just in terms of what you do day to day, but mentally as well, man. Because like I feel like I like our generation because we're speaking a lot about mental health now, like
Yeah.
compared to maybe our parents' generation where
ago,
like
yeah.
maybe there wasn't like outlets as we have now, or maybe there wasn't. They were just wired differently. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But I feel
facts.
like our generation is a bit different. Like we're not. We can say that this is bothering me, and the reason why that's good because especially like as black people as well, like it's there's sometimes within that as well. But I feel like it's good that we can have these things and share like.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate. I didn't even do an intro. Like it's mad. But for those listening and watching, I'm joined by Hilary. Investment. Yeah, I don't want to bet up your age, but yeah, she's a young investment banker doing her thing.
I'm
Like
done.
so that's I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you for having me. My first podcast
Oh yeah, first
episode.
podcast. So thank you for agreeing. Like I feel that
Debut.
it's good. So I don't know if there's anything you want to plug before we leave or. Your TikTok, the
Yeah, if you follow me on TikTok.
fashion banker.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said to my, I'll let you do the rest.
Yeah, if you follow me on TikTok. Yeah, fashion banker, the fashion banker, as he said, and Instagram, Hilary as well. Thanks.